So, just to occur, if you don't mind, if the speakers could please just put an indication beside their name, maybe an S, so we know that you're here and can easily track, because I can see some speakers with Joe in front of their names. And yes, Providence, that's your shade. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's a very good suggestion. Please indicate that you're a speaker so that we don't kick you out if you start speaking. And I think you're speaking out of 10. So just show us that you're a speaker. Still looking for one judge. If you know them, please tell them that it's time. In the meantime, Davida, can you make a plan for a backup?
Yeah, sure. Just to confirm, the missing judge will be Zestiana, right?
Yes,
Okay.
Zestiana. Let's go for Zestiana.
I'm
Please.
here. I'm
Oh,
here.
great.
Oh, you're here. Okay.
Please rename yourself, okay? So we can better track.
Okay, 1 second.
And introduce yourself after you're done. Right. As she's doing that, OG, we have Nigeria P. Or if you're here, please indicate, unmute, and just say you are here. OG. Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah, it was here.
Thank you. CG. CG. CO.
CO is here.
Okay. Thank you, Op Bench, for being here. Zestiana, you can introduce yourself as I look for Gov Bench.
Hello everyone. Congratulations on making it this far. I hope this is a very fruitful final. So yeah, my name is pronounced she, they, and I'll be a panelist on this grand final.
Thank you. Yes, OG. OG, are you here now? CG, are you here? We're not afraid to break the reserve teams. Please tell your friends to join in the call. Last call for OG. If you are here, please unmute.
Is Suji here?
Okay, I
Opening
see
government
OG.
is here.
OG
My
is
partner
here.
is joining.
Okay, that's fine. One of you is okay. CG. CG is not here. I don't even see them on the speakers list. CG, Supanana, and Jonathan. Yeah.
I don't know the position. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, because they're not both responding on WhatsApp and we're trying to communicate, I think that's just like the closest platform we'll be communicating. So like in a minute, if they can't respond, we'll either pull up a team or just like start the debate without them. Okay, I'm just on
Thank
that
you.
now.
If CG has joined, please unmute yourself and indicate that you have joined because I still have no idea.
Yeah, CG is here now.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, guys, I truly appreciate if you guys can be on time, speak for 7 minutes 15, time yourself, don't take any longer than that. I'll time you from my end, indicate your PI preference as usual. Please don't try to influence the judges before your speech. With that being said, we call upon the Prime Minister. The debate is beginning right now. Yeah.
Hi guys, closing government here. Sorry for the lag.
Okay, hi guys, I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Give me a second. Okay, so I'm going to start my speech in.
Can you just like hold on?
Okay,
Just give me a sec. Just give me a sec. In like a minute.
Hi, just so the chair knows, like CJ's in.
Oh, yes, your partner had communicated. But
Just like fixing a bug, so we should be starting in a
okay,
sec.
so can I start?
No, just hold on a bit, or just like notify. Okay, setting up. Okay.
Wait, also, can you guys hold on with the starting? Like, I have
Yeah, I'm good on this end. Whenever I think
an issue that's still unresolved in DMs most time, and like I just joined the call and it's still the same. At least can I know why?
please repeat yourself, Super Nana. You're speaking over you. CG, you have a concern? I didn't hear it.
Oh no, you are the chair. Actually, it's a consent to CAP, right? Like, it's a consent to CAP on panel arrangement, and I thought I would get like a reply on that, but nothing so far.
Is it the same concern you submitted to Mascot?
Yes, same issue.
We do not recognize it. If you have an issue with that, that's a bit sad. We may have to proceed with the reserve team, but we do not recognize it.
Okay, that's interesting. Really interesting policy on clashes. That's fine. I guess we can start. Or one get.
Thank you. Takura, please begin the debate.
Thank you so much. Okay, with that being said, Peace, you can start.
Okay, so am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I'm going to start. Give me a second. I'm going to start my speech. Okay, so I would ask for a POI myself. So do not unmute in the middle of my speech to ask. All right, so I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, this is an open motion, meaning that opening government gets to define what the motion is about, the actor and all. And all teams have to follow the framing. In order for you to go against the framing of opening government, you have to sufficiently analyze why their framing does not make any sense. Like, I have to make that clear in these debates, right? So let's go to the debates. This house would be defining this house as an individual, would risk everything for a single chance of eternal glory. The debate isn't about literal immortality, but about human pursuits of meaning that transcends mortality. That means the willingness to sacrifice comfort, safety, or certainty for something that's truly timeless, which is eternal glory, as the debate posits, right? We think that firstly, I think the first thing to talk about is the pursuit of glory is what gives humanity meaning. Why is this true? Without the pursuit of something greater than oneself, we think that life becomes a series of survival acts. That means we live, we die, and we are forgotten. Risking everything is the ultimate assertion that life value is measured not by comfort, but by impact. Example of people that have done this, and it would look like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Malala, who literally risked their lives, and even some ended up losing their lives for justice, people that are remembered till today. It looks like artists like Van Gogh, inventors like Albert Einstein, that also were ridiculed in life at first when they started, but when they reached their entire comfort and everything for innovations, they were glorified for eternity. It looks like Socrates choosing death over silence. The reason why this is important is that society progresses only because people were willing to risk everything for impossible ideals. Eternal glory is not vanity. We think that this is the engine of civilization. I think we have to make another thing very clear in this debate so we do not have a messy round. When we say we are risking everything for eternal glory, it means that we are risking things. It means that we are risking things like comfort, things like surrendering comfort, certainty, and all those things, right? It doesn't mean because opposition can come and say, oh, you're going to be doing things that maybe are going to be putting humanity at risk. You're going to be going against the laws and stuff like that. We do not think that that's what the debate proceeds. Why? Because we think that at the end of the day, humanity would still have laws. We still have moral codes, right? So it doesn't mean that people are going to be like risking genocide and all those extremities. We do not think it's our burden to defend extremities within the purview of the round. The second case then I'm going to talk about is how greatness is determined by total commitment. We think that the reason why this is true is that glory is not accidental. It requires full surrender. We think that risking everything focuses purposes of individual. When there's no safety net, people achieve what comfort would never achieve. Meaning that the things like curing cancer, for example, can only be achieved by risking everything and not like having safety nets. Examples look like revolutionaries who fought oppressive regimes, knowing that they might die, or even athletes that risk their life, their chance of a normal life, just to achieve greatness. The impact of this is that the willingness to risk is the filter separating the extraordinary from the ordinary. We think without this mindset, humanity would stagnate in mediocrity, and we regret that. The third thing I'm going to talk about then is that humanity has an innate need to transcend for eternal glory, to find symbolic immortality. We think that risking everything satisfies the deepest psychological need of individuals to matter beyond one's lifespan. To reject this notion is to reject what makes us uniquely human. This is the very reason why people would have kids, like the lowest is having kids, because you want to be remembered for centuries. But we think that it even goes deeper, as I've already analyzed within the purview of my speech, to look at things like even the ending of like slavery and things that like had like large impact within society was only done by individuals willing to risk everything for internal glory. We think it's going to be very nonsensical for opposition to try to talk about and say, oh, maybe all these things I've given you, it's not true because, well, people just wanted justice. They were not doing it for glory, right? We don't think that is true because individuals are inherently selfish. So even the most like altruistic human being in this world is going to be doing it because they also have they have some benefits to it, right? And we think that people that risk their life, the benefits that they literally got was literally glory and stuff like that. Or if they are going to defend that line of thinking, they have to prove why human beings like are not selfish at all. And we don't think that that's possible to prove. But before I go on, I'll take a POI from Seal.
Yeah, please. Did all these people you mentioned know at the time of their decisions that they were risking it all for eternal glory?
Well, yes, as I said, human beings are inherently selfish. The reason why I'm going to stand up to an oppressive regime, even though I know that I'm probably going to get killed, is because I know that if I end up toppling this oppressive regime, I'm going to be remembered for life. It's the same reason why I'm going to want to even innovate any like electricity or whatnot, right? Because you know that people are going to remember you for centuries. It's nonsensical to say, oh, they don't, at that point, they didn't know that they were risking it for internal glory. We don't think that that's true. But I think the last thing I'm going to analyze within the purview of this debate is that internal glory as a collective is one that's like serves as some form of aspirational value. We think that greatness doesn't happen in isolation. When one person reaches everything, it means that it redefines what is possible for others, right? So the memory of one act of glory, e.g. Rosa Parks refusing to sit at the back of the bus, was one that inspired generations. Like people later, even like Black Lives Matter protests that ended up happening how many years, decades after that thing happened. We think that with that aspirational value, it gives people to even be better and do more. It's one that's extremely important. The ripple effect of one glorious act is far more valuable than the safety of 1,000 quiet lives. What you have to take note in this debate is that any human innovation, any good that we have as humanity today, right? The innovation of electricity, aeroplane, the innovation of like medicine was because individuals wanted to risk their lives and risk everything for internal glory. Opposition has to defend a world where we don't care about that. They don't care about innovations. Proudly, OG.
Thank you so much. Strongly encouraging speakers to stop at 7 minutes on the dot, but yes. Can you please have Elo?
Oh, that's fine, thank you. Can I confirm that you can hear me properly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, just give me a second to open my timer. Okay. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1, start. Panel, 3 things. Firstly, we're simply not going to defend some abstract idea that opening government decides to throw at us simply because they're opening government and they get to define the motion. If you get to define the motion, define it properly. We don't think we can defend a world where people are pursuing something that transcends mortality and we have absolutely no idea what that specific thing actually looks like ultimately. Secondly, to call out the massive lies that come in the opening government speech, Pearce tells us that the individuals that lost their lives, for example, individuals like Malala, individuals like Mandela, and individuals like Martin Luther King, are the individuals that we're looking into in today's debate. We think it's very important to make it clear from this point onwards that these individuals were not in any pursuit of eternal glory at any point in time, which is something that we believe to be ultimately a selfish decision, right? Government has to defend like a world where these individuals are actively taking that selfish decision to be pursuing something that is simply for themselves, not the soft line stance that they are taking. We think these are all examples of people who are pursuing some structural change within their societies. These are individuals that in the very first instance did not even risk it all, right? We think we also need a better definition of what risking it all actually looks like. It cannot be just simply letting go of some of the comforts that individuals have within life. It's important to note Martin Luther King and Mandela did not act to be remembered by society. They acted because they had a moral conviction and a social responsibility that they felt that they needed to fulfill, right? We think glory ultimately became a byproduct of what those individuals were able to achieve at the end of the day. If anything, we think the definition of that glory changes with time, right? When people start viewing Martin Luther King as someone who didn't do enough, when people start claiming that Mandela actually betrayed South Africa. So we don't think that's something that's actually worth pursuing if ultimately that glory is something that's likely to change, and that glory isn't something that materializes while you're still alive. We think it's important then to note that just because this glory was a byproduct and not necessarily the pursuit itself and the purpose itself, society ultimately changed and eventually started recognizing that moral courage. We don't think we're unable to get this in our world in an instance where individuals do not choose to pursue that eternal glory. We think, if anything, it's important that individuals understand their own limitations and do not involve themselves fully with the societies that they come from, because we don't think social change is something that is achieved by individuals, so no one should ever have to risk it all. Social change is something that is achieved if every member of society is able to chip in their own collective effort. You don't get that when you have individuals that carry the burden of their countries entirely on themselves. Some framing there. We think, firstly, it's important to understand how humans operate, because that's something that's missing from his speech, right? We think individuals, or the necessity for eternal glory, is something that stems from a fear of insignificance. So we try to immortalize ourselves. This is something that is extremely harmful, because at that point in time, individuals then forego, firstly, all the joys of life. Secondly, smaller aspirations that build up to be something bigger at the end of the day. We don't think a hyperfixation on this abstract idea, as Peace puts it, is something that is important to individuals, or is something that is better for society, because individuals live a life of sadness. They live a life where they are constantly abusing themselves for an abstract idea that might not even materialize at the end of the day. We don't think this is the sort of suffering that we want to subject individuals to. We think at a point at which individuals pursue this a very not so tangible thing within the entirety of their lives, there's two things that are likely to happen. We think, firstly, these individuals are likely to get burnt out. Secondly, they are likely to be disillusioned. What this means is that for a lot of individuals for whom this glory is unattainable, they die without ever reaching that sort of joy, or that sort of beautiful life that they are able to achieve if they were able to take life as it comes, right? We think this is something that is particularly harmful, because at a point at which individuals only get to access this glory posthumously, or individuals only get access to this glory when they are gone, this is something that is meaningless to them as individuals, and this is something that is meaningless to their future selves, because you do not necessarily get to enjoy the effects of people immortalizing you and glorifying you for whatever you've achieved. I'll take that POI before I move on.
On your side in OO, you trade your time and your soul living in a structure that is predefined by society's dominant narrative. You never break free, you die a slave. Why is that better a comparative?
We think that's a better comparative because when you try and fight the society that you're currently living in, and you're able to derive some level of joy from the little things that come in life, we think you are able, at the very least, to gain access to some sort of joy. We think in your world, you live in a harmful structure where you don't get to enjoy anything, and you die within that harmful structure without ever enjoying life at any point in time. We think if you're able to show us that this level of glory, or eternal glory, that people get access to when they have died, is something that offsets all the harms that they've been subject to by a society that they did not even attempt to enjoy, we think you can win this debate, but we don't think that's something that is even important within this round. What happens then? We think at the moment of death, life loses meaning for a lot of people, because once you've lived a life that is ultimately meaningless, and the future prospects of glory at the point of at which you're dying become ultimately meaningless, because that's something that's intangible, that's something that you will never get access to. We think it's important that individuals do not reject the meaningful things that are uniquely important and the meaningful things that come from life. What have I been able to prove? We think it's important, firstly, that individuals do not engage in distraction of like instrumental values that make life meaningful. This looks like a pursuit of wealth, a pursuit of comfort, a pursuit of stability, a pursuit of the values that make society look like what it is. We think at a point at which individuals lose out on this life enhancing certainties for a single uncertain abstract idea, as Opening Government puts it. We don't think these are individuals that are going to enjoy life as they live, and these are individuals that won't tap into like this potential of like this eternal glory ever materializing once they have died. We think it's important also that individuals do not violate their future autonomy for something that they are unable to get access to now, because we think the futures that individuals actually exist in, or their future self, is someone who's absolutely different from who they are now. Vote opening opposition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elo. Strongly encourage speakers to stop at 7:15. Truly appreciate speakers who keep time. With that being said, we call upon DPM.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You're audible.
Okay, so just give me sorry, I just need to grab my timer. Okay. Timer clock. All right. I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So just to give some clarifications, because opening opposition is trying to say there wasn't so much clarification. So here's what risking everything is going to look like. We do not think to a very large extent that, it's going to be some sort of genocidal recklessness on the part of the actor. We think that it's going to look like, the willingness to stake things like career, savings, their time, their comforts, just like this explained, right? We don't think we're going to arm others. Neither do we think that, we're going to necessarily upturn the whole world. We think to a very large extent, it's going to be about total commitments to a cause within reason, within ethical and very much legal bounds. That's the first thing. But let's even go into what we get from opening opposition, because opening opposition says a couple of things. The first thing they talk about is how glory changes with time because society changes. I think the motion already clarifies, we're talking about eternal glory. If the motion already says eternal glory, I don't think we can begin to debate whether the glory is going to last 1 generation or 2 generations. That's the first thing. But the second thing they try to talk about is how social change isn't achieved by individuals, but rather as a collective struggle. Even if that is true, we think that people play their parts, right? So of course, Rome wasn't built in a day. People play their part and live. And at a point whereby you can be able to make meaningful contributions that would outlive you, even if you're not going to do everything, but at least the little you're able to do guarantees you eternal glory. We see no reason why you should not push for that. They talk about how individuals will be burnt out, right? We tell you that to a very large extent, burnout already exists in society, especially if you want to live some sort of like a decent life. You have to most likely work a job or two to be able to survive in this incredibly capitalistic world. You need to be able to make time for career, make time for friends, make time for so many things that at the end of the day might not even serve you as much as it serves others, right? Why not then, at the very least, hyperfixate on a particular idea? Sure, even if you might get burnout, the idea that something is going to outlive you far outweighs whatever burnout they want to talk about. The third thing they don't want to say is that it's going to be meaningless to them because they won't get to live its panel. The fact that it is eternal glory doesn't mean that, what is it called? You die before you can achieve that, because recognize the whole of the examples that peace tells you are people who were idolized both when they were alive and when they were dead. We don't think the end result of the thing you're trying to purchase, of the thing you're trying to pursue is death, right? I mean, I could cure cancer at age 23 and live to age 80. I don't think the glory only starts when I'm dead. Of course, it's going to start from when I achieve that particular thing, and when I live on. That case is very much irrelevant. The last thing they talk about is how life loses meaning, and this is very much false, because recognize panel, we spent the vast majority of our lives trying to purchase, trying to like pursue certain goals. So fine, you want to be a doctor, you go to school for like 6 years, right? You get your medical degree, you go to internship, you do residency, you do so many fucking things. Even after you do become that doctor, it's still more and more work, to a very large extent to get to the top and all those kind of things. We think life is a continuous race, as opposed in their world where you live that race within the confines to which society has defined for you. We prefer a world where you actually do take your stance and define, your world bigger than whatever strata that society has set for you. You're still like, to a very large extent, what the meaning of your life is defined by what you make it. And if you say that your biggest, like what you want to achieve in life is X, your life is not going to lose meaning because you have something to which you're pursuing it. And this leads to the first thing Peace tells you. Because Peace tells you that to a very large extent, the way human works, right, is that you want to give your life meaning. And you recognize that what has happened for the vast majority of instances is that society has been the one to define what meaning looks like. Oh, you're supposed to have a family. You're supposed to do this particular career. This is what is prestigious. This is what is not. Recognize that life does not have one simple meaning, right? The meaning of your life is whatever you make it. And at a point in time where you say that the legacy is not what society determines, but what you choose to achieve. Mind you, this action could be anything. This thing that could give you eternal glory could be anything. As long as it's something that produces an outcome that will outlive you. We tell you that meaning is whatever you make it. At that point in time, it is very much better to pursue it. At the point where we all agree that, it is better if that meaning you want it to have is something that you yourself very much determine. But the second thing, right, is how, like, in terms of why should we fix everything, recognize that in order to be able to further any sort of advancement, you need a level of commitment. But recognize the way the world works is oftentimes, right, because you want to play it safe, you tend to not risk so much. But if you look at the vast majority of people who tend to succeed, when they interview them, it's like, oh, I didn't have a social life because I wanted to do this. Oh, I dropped out of school to pursue this particular dream. We tell you that the vast majority of instances, it is already an inherent part of human nature to risk a whole lot of things. Families sell off their properties just so they can send their kids to school. It is a very much innate part of human being to necessarily risk everything to be able to achieve a level of meaning or to essentially achieve a goal. We tell you that at the end of the day, any form of greatness you want to achieve requires a level, like a very pretty much total commitment. And this is something that at the end of the day, it is still very much better justified. But why do you think? Because let's analyze what happens in an instance where you fail, right? Because of course, might want to come and argue that this is something that would not work. Life is already 50-50, right? There's a chance you could live, there's a chance you could die, right? We tell you that at the end of the day, the only thing that gives your life meaning is your ability to try, right? But even just beyond the nonsense of, you just trying, right? Even if they want to say that, it's not just enough to try, why is it not? Because recognize that, to a very large extent, even in an instance where you fail, you still sort of record your name on some form of legend. Because recognize that, of course, even if the vast majority of inventions we have today, so for example, Alexander Fleming tried to invent the microscope. It was not successful, but we still learn about him if you study microbiology. Why? Because at least he tried. Even if somebody else eventually ended up developing what he started, his name was still very much entrenched. So recognize that when you try to do something, right, and essentially when you risk it all and you try to put yourself out there, even in an instance where you fail, you still sort of immortalize your name to a very large extent, because when that thing ends up getting achieved, because humans are obviously going to advance and innovate, at the end of the day, you're still going to immortalize yourself and you're still going to get a level of semblance of recognition. But the second thing is that when you're trying to do something new and when you're trying to necessarily gain some form of accolade or something, you're definitely going to attract attention. Recognize that when you're trying to build something, the way the world works is people try to, look at what is going to be the next thing and attach themselves with it. Even in an instance where you do fail, we do think that you're going to garner some level of attention, but even beyond just attention, the level of access you then, open it up to, you then open yourself up to by daring to do something that nobody else has done, is something that is going to propel you. But the last thing to say, right, because we do not think that to a very large extent, like I said earlier, it's some sort of genocidal recklessness we're just embarking on, that we want to go on a suicide mission. That is not it, right? We think that just like any other rational human being, there is still going to be a kill switch. That is, even if because we don't think at this point in time to a very large extent we're going to genocidal stuff. So we think that to a very large extent, even if it fails, right, the level of access and network you've built for yourself is still something that would allow you live some level of comfortable life. My time is almost up. We're proud to come from OG.
Thank you, DPM. We're going to take a small pause for now. I'll call DLO when it's time.
Okay, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
All right, this round has been paused from happening. That is just like in regards to the tournament policy, in regards to the team that is in closing position, that is Takura and Collins. There was a prior establishment with them in regards to
Oh yeah,
continuing the
Takura is
tournament.
judging. You're supposed to be saying Collins and Israel.
Oh, I said Takura. Sorry, that would be like
Yes.
Israel Smart and Collins. Yes. So they just like as well did inform Cap Alia on the same, but I think then with consultation referencing with tournament policy, they would still be ineligible to debate within this round. Complete has been escalated by as well one of the stakeholders in the tournaments, and I think it's crucial for the same, and as well just counts to be unfair anyways. Yep. So just give me a second.
If the live can be stopped and maybe just deleted, and then we will have to reconvene for finals for sure. That would be
Yeah.
great. Thank you,
We'll
Rian,
just
for
like
the
stop the line.
announcement. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so just like stick around here, just a deliberate announcement on the eligible breaking team, then perhaps a redraw. We're just still deciding with the teams if they'll be okay with continuing rounds today, or we could just like pause this round and have it tomorrow, probably at a convenient time for all of them. We just as well happy to like schedule